Our story begins in the early hours of December 13th, 2019, just after midnight. At 12:44 a.m., Al-Mutahan McLean picked up the phone and dialed 911. What he said would set off a chain of events that peeled back the walls of a house, hiding something far more sinister than anyone expected.
911, what's the location of your emergency?
Yes, my son is unresponsive right now.
Your son
And I
is
need
Hold on. What's your address?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What's the address where he is?
The address is 1934 Kensington Drive.
1934 Kensington? You said your son
Yes.
You said your son is unresponsive?
Yep.
How old is he?
He's a child with a lot of medical issues. So what he do is he's not heavy.
Stop, just for a minute. How old is he?
He's 11 years old.
Okay.
In 3 days.
And when you say he's unresponsive, is he breathing?
Yeah, but barely. I mean, he got skin tone.
Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Officer Clinton Evans was on patrol when the call came through. A medic assist at 1934 Kensington Drive. A 10-year-old boy was unresponsive, not breathing, something unknown leaking from his mouth. Evans pulled up to the house. Medics were already inside. He walked through the door and saw a man standing behind a couch, watching, silent, detached. That man was Al-Mutahan McLean. On the other side of that couch, out of Evans' line of sight, medics were on the floor, working furiously over a small body. As soon as they noticed the officer, the medics gave a quiet order. Get him out of here. Evans took McLean onto the porch, and that's when the lies started. McLean claimed his son, Takoda Collins, was mentally unstable, said he threw himself around, beat himself with objects, and that earlier, he'd caught the boy trying to shove a chair leg into his own rectum. Claimed he'd been watching Takoda all day to keep him from hurting himself. Then McLean said he stepped out of the room, said he heard Takoda call for help, said he found him collapsed and cold on the floor. That's when he called 911. That's when he tried CPR. And then came the part no decent parent would say without choking on their own breath. McLean told the officer that while he was doing chest compressions, something brown oozed from Takoda's mouth and nose. Said it might have been peanut butter, or turkey, or feces. Because, he added flatly, Takoda eats his own feces all the time. Inside the house, the medics were fighting to keep the child alive. One came out and said it was too late, that Takoda had died. McLean's reaction? I tried to get you all out here quick. But a minute later, another medic rushed out. The boy had a pulse. They were taking him to Children's Medical Center. As they wheeled the stretcher past, Officer Evans finally saw him. Takoda Collins, 10 years old. A light brown substance streaked across his face, his body barely moving, barely alive. Evans stayed with McLean, who kept rambling. He talked about how hard life was with Takoda, claimed he wasn't diagnosed with anything, but that he knew how to play the system, claimed the boy was homeschooled because his behavior made public school impossible. Then the mother, Robin Collins, came up. McLean said she lived in Wisconsin and hadn't had custody since Takoda was 2. Said she made promises she didn't keep. Blamed her for everything. Inside the house, more disturbing details emerged. A dog leash, looped into a makeshift restraint, hung from an eye screw above the couch. McLean claimed it was for a punching bag, said it gave Takoda something to hit when he got out of control. McLean repeated that Takoda was a nightmare to care for. Said the boy tried to urinate, or even ejaculate on him at night. Claimed the boy urinated and defecated on a tarp upstairs, laid in it. Bathed multiple times a day only to crawl back into filth. The story kept changing. First, McLean said he found Takoda collapsed in the living room. Then he said Takoda called for help from upstairs, and he carried him down. Then he added he put Takoda in the bathtub to snap him out of it. Then pulled him back out, dragged him into the living room, and called 911. A woman arrived, Amanda Hinsey, McLean's girlfriend. She wasn't allowed inside. Later that night, medics at the hospital confirmed the worst. Takoda Collins was pronounced dead. His body was covered in bruises, burns, and cuts. Signs that didn't match McLean's story of self-harm. Signs of something much darker. The Montgomery County coroner, Dr. Kent Harshbarger, would later confirm what first responders already suspected. Takoda Collins had not died by accident. He was killed. The official cause, blunt force trauma, compressive asphyxia, and water submersion. Takoda's body told a brutal story. He had extensive acute and healing injuries across his head, torso, and limbs, evidence of long-term repeated beatings. The coroner noted contusions on his internal organs, the mesentery, bowel, and pancreas. His torso and extremities were covered in patterned injuries, signs that he'd been struck with objects over and over again. There were scars, faded but deep, proof of older trauma. Multiple healing rib fractures on both sides of his chest, lacerations and bruising in and around his anus and rectum, severe pulmonary edema, consistent with possible drowning in a bathtub. Takoda Collins had been tortured, systematically, relentlessly, and on that cold December night his body finally gave out. Back at the crime scene, Evans contacted Children's Services. They had a history with this house. A 2018 report said Takoda was afraid to go home, that McLean beat him, told him to kill himself. All those reports? Closed out. Dismissed. Now the boy was dead. Detectives arrived. A search was conducted. Upstairs, in a reeking attic that smelled of waste and rot, they found a door secured with a combination lock. McLean claimed it was to keep Takoda from jumping out of windows, claimed the floor was damaged. That attic was Takoda's prison. McLean, as well as Amanda Hinsey and Jennifer Ebert, the two other women living in the home, were taken in for questioning. The scene was processed. The investigation was underway. But by then, it was already too late. The boy who cried for help over and over again was finally silent. Once detectives arrived at the safety building, they interrogated Jennifer Ebert first.
Let's start from the beginning. Okay. Tell me what this is.
Well, I moved down here 3 years ago. And, well, I moved down here because I had to take care of the boys. And that was the whole deal, that I take care of the house and the boys, and he would buy my dog food or whatever, clean the house and do all that. So,
You're okay, honey. Take a breath.
I'm gonna tell everything. I just said to him in the house and my dog, I'm not going down for this no more.
Okay.
Because they always said if anything happens, we're all going down. Well, I'm not going down as much as they are. I'm tired.
Somebody told you all were going down for it? Who?
Amanda.
Amanda told you all were going to go down for it? Okay.
I can't do this. Can you give me a second? Just
Yeah. Take your time.
But he was in that room downstairs, and then he was misbehaving because he was pooping everywhere. He could use the bathroom any time, or whatever, like a normal child. But he would refuse to use the bathroom and use it on himself every night and everything. And so then he started spanking him, putting him in the corner. That escalated from there. And then he moved him to the basement and that spare room that we got down there. And then he kept on doing the same thing and stuff like that. And then he would start doing a little more, punching him and kicking him and stuff like that. And then he moved him to where I was, because I was still upstairs at the time. And then he would still do the same thing. And then he would start still punching him, kicking him, elbowing him in the gut, smacking him across the head and everything. And then he recently started using a taser on him. And then we got this metal spatula down or whatever that he used to beat him with it. And then this morning, I called him down for breakfast. He wouldn't come. I called him down, kept on calling him down. Finally, he came down, and then I woke up Al, and he was sitting, Takoda was sitting on the toilet, and he elbowed him in the back, and then he fell to the floor, and started beating on him, and then he threw him in the bathtub, and it sounded like he was drowning him. So he was talking to him and telling him he was going to drown him, and it sounded like that because all I heard was splashing because he wouldn't clean his shorts because he came down wet over this morning. And he took him back upstairs and threw him out. Then he made him lay on his stomach, hands behind the back, and he stepped on it. And then he made him lay in the bed, and he was laying on his side. And then he was at the back of him. I don't know what he was doing out there. I couldn't see. And then he threw him back off the bed, drug him a little bit. And then when he woke up about 1 o'clock, because he went back to bed around 10, and then they woke up, and then they laid me on the couch, and I went back to bed for a while because I was tired. And then I got woken up by Amanda crying and freaking out. And then that's when we left. Because Takoda wasn't breathing.
There was part of like a stool or something. What was going on with that?
He would make him sit on it with his legs wide open because I don't know the whole reason.
He would sit on it when it was part of the chair? Or what?
Yeah, when it was all the way together. Because he wouldn't stand still with his legs crossed, hands behind his head. And then he brought that home one day and made him sit on it.
Like with the legs up?
No, he was sat on the top of it.
Did you see Al with this, like one of the legs today?
He hid it behind the dresser in the living room. All part of it, and then the other one was the sink in the bathroom.
What was he doing with it? So, you said that, like, after this was going on, he went back to bed. Who went back to bed?
Al, because he made Takoda go back to bed, lay back on his bed, and not make a word or sound. And then I just figured he was sleeping the way he was just.
So, once Amanda obviously was upset, and then you guys left and went to the store. Okay. And Al stayed there?
Yeah, because right after we left, he called the cops. She told him to call. He wasn't breathing or making funny noises or whatever. I was half asleep when we left. I didn't know what was going on, so I left with no sweater and no shoes or anything. I just picked up Joe and we left.
Did you go to those 3 places that you told us you went to?
Yes.
Do you know what she wanted to talk to her friend at Walgreens about?
I think just to get advice of what to do, but she didn't. All her friend said was don't run because I'd look bad. Because she didn't tell her exactly what was going on, so, that's whatever. But
So that's when you guys kind of went back home.
And we drove around the neighborhood a little bit to see what was going on, if the cops were still there. And then finally she just gave up and went home.
So the leg to the stool, you know what I'm talking about? You never saw him use that on Josiah?
No, I didn't. No. That child never got beat or anything, just got some spankings when he wouldn't listen, but
I didn't mean
That's
Josiah,
okay.
I'm sorry, I meant Takoda.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
it's fine, but I just said,
Yeah.
yeah. But no, that's one thing I never seen him use. He usually just use that spatula, his fists, his feet, and everything that, anything that he could see.
Did he like drag him up or down the steps or anything like that?
So I know this morning he was wobbling like crazy when he was coming down the stairs. So I told him, I didn't know what was going on. I told him to walk normal, you know. And so then he was walking, like rubbing up on things, and I woke up Al. So that's what I said. Al got mad, started beating on him. I'm not 100% sure. He was having troubles walking, so I know. I think I seen him on the camera grabbing his ear and dragging him, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
On the camera. So there was a camera upstairs?
Yeah.
They kept a camera up there while he was in the attic?
To watch him.
Is that stuff recorded? What is it, live? So you can only watch it while it's going on? And that's how you saw him stand on him and put him on his stomach and all that? So he did pretty much stay up in the attic, though. Did he get locked in that room a lot? Yes.
The only time he came down was just to go bathroom.
Good.
And shower once in a while.
So let me ask you, why did you never call the police or anything about it?
I don't know really. Just I wanted to stay in his arms. But then he would just tell us to make, if he would come up with some stupid story if we ever did, he would just say, oh, I'll just say this and that, and I don't know, he was just...
I mean, does he drink? Is it when he drinks, or is he just an angry person?
Both.
Does it get worse if he drinks?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Does he drink a lot? Really? Is that what he does all day?
He would usually go out when I'd say about 2, 3 in the afternoon, sometimes 4, and I'll come home about 2, 3 in the morning.
Does he ever abuse your sister?
He used to when they lived in Wisconsin, but now he just throws things at the floor and punches walls.
Or takes it out on Takoda?
That's it.
So Takoda pees the bed, is that kind of what his problem is with him?
Yeah, but really, and I noticed last maybe week or so he didn't go poop in the toilet, 'cause I'm told to watch him because he likes to rub poop everywhere. So I kind of just peek in on him, see what he's doing, even not trying to be gross or anything, and then I noticed that he doesn't poop in the toilet, and so I told Al about that, so he asked him, and I guess one night he was pooping upstairs and he ate it, so I don't know what was the deal with all that.
Like he would have gotten in trouble if he had
If
been
there
down
was,
with it?
yeah, he would beat him.
So he ate it?
Yeah.
Did you ever try to take him to the doctor or get him medical help or anything?
No.
Can you explain that to me a little bit?
I don't know how to, I tried, but he would come up with an excuse saying Takoda's crazy and he does self-harm and everything, so he just comes up with an excuse that it's all sports fault.
So, I'll just be honest. I mean, Takoda had some pretty bad injuries to his anus area.
I don't know nothing about that one. I'm
Well,
just heard of that now.
When he's telling him to bend over and cross
Yeah.
his legs, what do you think he was doing?
I don't know about that one, but I know he would always pour hot sauce on his butt, and then yeah, like that, and tongue and stuff like that.
Explain to me Amanda's part and when this is going on.
I have to tell Amanda will be at work lately when he does it. Do it as soon as she walks out the door.
But before, when she was there, I mean, it's evident that she was aware that it was going on.
Yeah. And she told him to stop. She's been telling him to stop because he's been had too much going on with his body, and she's let him do what he wants. And so
Did she ever try and stop Al?
none of us have.
After detectives interrogated Jennifer, they proceed to meet with Amanda, Al McLean's girlfriend.
So tell me what happened today.
I woke up around 1 p.m. And I left. I grabbed my sister and Josiah to go make some errands to get to the bank before they closed. I had to put some money in the bank, and I made a couple other errands, and then I got back home, and the cops were there. They didn't tell me anything that was going on. Al came out and said Takoda was unresponsive, and he had to call the ambulance. That's all I know.
So what were the errands that you went and ran? Where did you go?
I went over to the Dollar Tree to get Josiah something to drink because he was thirsty.
What Dollar Tree?
Right there by Gettysburg, right around the corner from my house. I just had my sister run in and grab a drink for him, a juice. And I had to run to the bank. By the time I got back, that's when I seen all the cops there. I thought something had happened. I didn't know what was going on. I was freaking out. They told me I couldn't go in my house.
What bank did you go to?
Key Bank.
Where is that at? Okay. And then where else did you go?
That's it. I just came home.
Dollar Tree and Key Bank? So you were going to go over to her house?
I went over there for Thanksgiving.
Who's your friend?
Victoria.
And she works at Walgreens?
Mm-hmm.
So when you left, who all went with you to run the errands?
Just me, my sister, and Josiah.
Okay, where was the Takoda?
I think he was in the bathtub. I heard him in the bathtub.
He was in the bathtub?
Mm-hmm. He should have been taking a bath because I woke up and I was still in my pajamas. I just left. I didn't even get anything to drink or use the bathroom.
Maybe they think you just like went without brushing your teeth or anything.
Yeah, I just got up and left. I thought it was later than what it was.
Who was in there? Was he in there with anybody?
No, the door was closed. He was by himself.
Okay. Where was everybody else?
My sister was in her room and Josiah was in the toy room playing.
And where was Al?
He was sitting on the couch.
Did you guys talk at all before you left?
I just said, I gotta run to the bank. I'll be back. He didn't even answer the phone. I was trying to call him, but his phone was off.
What's his phone number?
I don't know it by heart, but I can look it up. 937 361 8003.
So he had his phone off.
I was trying to ask if he needed anything while I was out.
So tell me about Takoda.
What about him?
I mean, just kind of tell me about him. I don't know anything about him.
Well, when we first got together, he was fighting for custody of him in Wisconsin. That's how we met. He got overnight visits with him, and he was a good kid. Bounced around foster home to foster home. Then after probably a few years after we got custody, we moved here in 2014. He went to school at Horseman. He had a lot of behavior problems. He was going to get kicked out of school. So we just decided to homeschool him to see if that would work. He didn't listen. He didn't want to. He had behavior problems. The therapist said that he didn't need therapy. He was only in therapy a couple of times. Threatened me with a knife one time, so I took all the knives away. And I just put him in my bedroom.
So you didn't really see Takoda this morning?
I barely ever see him. Like I said, by the time I get up, I get dressed for work and leave. Then when I get home, everybody's in bed. I stay up till about 3, 5 in the morning.
So you don't see him at all?
Barely. Maybe for a few minutes here and there.
So where does he go to school now?
He's homeschooled.
By who?
Me. I make homework assignments. I usually print them off at the library, and then I give them to my sister to give to him, and then he reads his books and all that, like the paperwork.
So you just give him papers, you don't
usually on the tablet. We have a tablet. I was looking into like a K-12 or something like that they had, where they were going to help teach him, but I kind of left that alone.
So where does everybody in the house, like where do they sleep?
Well, Al and I have our bedroom. Me and Giselle sometimes sleeps in our room, either with us or on the floor, or on the couch. Just varies. Then there's a bedroom across from us, which is where Takoda sleeps at. And then my sister, we kind of made her a bedroom in the back of the house. It's kind of
Okay, so let me-
ours.
Takoda stays in the bedroom.
Across from mine.
Josiah doesn't stay in there at all?
He naps in there.
He usually
Plays.
stays with
It's like
you.
the toy room, just lays.
Okay, so you get up about 1, and your sister's where?
She's in her room.
So you go get her and say, hey, we gotta run to the store?
I always take her. I don't like driving alone.
Okay. And Takoda's in the bathroom.
The
Okay.
door was closed.
Okay.
I heard the bath water.
But Al was sitting on the couch? Okay. Explain to me what all these marks are on Takoda.
What marks?
The marks all over his body.
From jumping out the window or what?
No.
I don't look at him, so I don't know.
These marks on his
You don't
body.
look at him?
I don't, he's 10, I don't look at his body. I have no idea.
Like marks on his face. You never noticed the marks on his face?
I didn't see him this morning. I haven't seen him.
Or maybe this big cut that's on his, like around his foot?
Mm-hmm.
You never noticed that?
When was the last time you saw him?
Probably like last week or so. I've been working 6 days a week trying to get some extra money for the holidays.
Okay, well, there's still a day left.
I know I usually...
So what do you do on that day?
I just head off today and yesterday, and I've been sleeping. I've been sick.
So you had yesterday off?
You
didn't see him at all yesterday?
I was in my bedroom. I've been sick. I had like strep throat or bronchitis or something.
So where was he?
In the house, bedroom, watching TV. I don't know. Kids are usually out just playing around watching TV. When they
Just
get
playing
out.
around?
Yeah, they're usually watching cartoons on.
You think a kid that looks like that's just playing around?
I don't know. He's usually around with his dad. His dad goes to his friend's house a lot.
What friend's house?
I don't know his name. He's got a few friends. I don't know.
So you never noticed, you never realized he had these marks all over his body,
He's usually wearing
on his
clothes.
arms, on his hands.
Oh,
You never noticed that stuff?
I'm usually home. I usually leave.
Let's not play stupid, okay? Because I really don't have a lot of tolerance for stupid. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to a kid that lost his life. So this is your chance to explain this to us because you're not stupid, okay? You can kind of play like you are, but you're not stupid. So let's discuss how this happened to him.
I don't
You do
know.
this to him? Did you do this to him?
No, I
Were you
did
beating
not.
on him?
No,
Okay, who was?
I don't know. I wasn't
You
there.
do know.
I wasn't there.
Come on, but you're still not stupid.
I never touched him. I never surrounded.
I thought you homeschooled him.
Yeah,
You didn't talk to him?
barely ever.
You never noticed that this kid was probably miserable his entire 10 years, or at least the time that this has been going on, because this didn't just happen. What monster does this? Are you a monster?
No,
Oh, well then tell me how this happened.
I don't know. He's usually wearing clothes when I'm around him. I don't.
Okay, but they were on his
Clothes on.
arms, on his hands. His face had cuts.
I didn't see him today. I don't know.
They weren't from today. They were from a period of time, not just today.
What clothes does he wear?
He had jeans and khaki pants and t-shirts. I had to throw 99% of them out.
What did he have left?
He only had a couple pairs left until I
Where
got
were
him some
they?
more. They were in his room.
And the room where all the toddler clothes were?
Yes.
Last time I
That's where all
checked,
the
he doesn't
clothes
wear
are.
toddler size.
I kept all the clothes there. But 90% of them had to
There
go in the garbage.
might have been clothes up in the upstairs. So who goes in the upstairs?
No, we leave it locked because it leaks. No, it's off limits.
So why is there urine and stuff up there?
Our dogs go up there sometimes. when
And
they have
pee in
babies.
buckets? You guys train your dog to pee in buckets?
There's no buckets up there.
Yeah,
There's a
buckets with
swimming
urine
pool.
in there.
There shouldn't be no buckets in
There
there.
is.
The ceiling leaks.
So the dogs hang out up in the attic?
Sometimes they go up there because they don't get along, so we have to bring another dog in. If we bring the outside dogs in, my other dog has to go upstairs or in the basement.
So let's get back to this. So today a 10-year-old who is going to be 11 very soon, is that correct?
Daisy.
Lost his life somehow, and has marks all over him that couldn't be self-inflicted. So I'd like to know how that happened.
Pass up, Sailor, please.
Amanda's story didn't just fall apart. It was shredded. Every lie exposed, every excuse gutted. And when there was nothing left to hide behind, she asked for a lawyer. After both women were interrogated, the spotlight shifted. Detectives turned to the man they believed held all the answers, Al-Mutahan McLean.
We are going to be interviewing you in regards to the crime of a homicide.
Homicide, that's like premeditated.
Homicide is kind of a catch-all for somebody that died more than likely not of natural causes. We want you to tell us, because we weren't there, what happened today.
Well, this is what happened. I ain't slept in about 3 days, right? The kid keep falling down the stairs, keep knocking his head around. It looked like something was wrong with his stomach last night that I noticed. And I gave him some water to throw up. And I know that he used to eating his own shit. So I just wanted to make sure that he was okay. So he drank the water. That was it. Goes back upstairs, acting out some more. I mean, jumping off the banister, shitting everywhere, pissing everywhere, the usual, might I add. A little while later, I go up there, I see a stick in his ass, like a chair leg. So I asked him, what is he doing? And he's just steady, you know what I mean? So I see blood on the ground, and I asked him to pull it out, you know what I mean? Blood squirted immediately. Now I'm freaking out. I'm like, hurry up. You need to get downstairs so I can get you in the shower. You know what I mean? And see what's going on. I'm sitting on the couch. He like, Dad, come here. No, he like, Dad, help. So I come up the stairs to help him. And that's when I noticed his body was cold. Very, very, very cold. So I took him downstairs. and try to rinse him off, you know, to see if he'd shake out of it, wake up. I mean, I had no clue of knowing that he was sick.
First of all, he had marks all over his body.
It's every day. Now, sometime I had to spank his behind just to prevent him from hurting himself. This boy jumped out the window before. Out, just straight out the window. There is no stopping him. I'm afraid. I've been telling people I was afraid, but at the same time, it was nothing I can do. And I mean, I can understand the fact that he had marks all over his body. You'd be surprised just to sit there and watch him do it. There's marks all over his body from him pissing on himself and wrapping around his own blanket. You know what I mean? If he did that continuously, there'd be rashes and, you know, that's unsanitary. Flat out. And anytime that I put my hands on him, it was to keep him from hurting himself. And I mean, far as I wouldn't beat him with anything, I would just grab him and like, hey, enough's enough, like arms behind your back, like the police do, you know what I mean? It was never punch you in the eye or slam you or, you know what I mean? He was pissing his shit every day. I feel like that could have been the cause right there.
Let me ask you this. He stayed upstairs?
Did he stay up there?
He stayed up there, right? When you
Yeah.
were talking about him pooping and peeing and everything up there?
Yeah.
Like,
But
locked up there?
Nah. We never locked him up there. Like, the lock's been on the house since we had the dogs when they were smaller. They'd get into fights. So that's what the locks is for. Like, he would come down. I would invite him to watch TV. He's my son. He was handsome. He looked just like me. You know what I mean? And I would invite him to sit down, watch TV, and this, that, and the third. And he would just shit and piss. I mean, the smell was so loud. I can go up there and clean it every day. In 5 years from now, you'll probably smell it. So if it was the fumes, I don't know what it was. Very shocking right now, the fact that he did. I mean it. I never thought that he would end up dead. I figured if he eat his own poop, I even Googled it. Like, will it hurt you? And they was like, nah, you know, to a certain extent. I mean, I was to the point where, what am I supposed to do? Call the police and be like, oh, my son is over here eating his shit again today?
Did you ever take him to the doctor?
Yeah, he's been to the doctor.
He has?
Yeah.
What's the doctor?
It's been so long, I don't even know. I just know it was probably like when my health insurance ran out. Probably close to 3 years ago.
So the kid hasn't seen a doctor in 3 years?
Yeah, but he been to the hospital in less than that.
When
So
was he
he
at the hospital?
probably like a year ago when he jumped out the window. I only took him to the hospital, and I only took him to the doctor when he needed it, and it won't nothing wrong with him.
He's eating his own feces. There's something wrong with him.
I mean, but besides the fact, now I took that into consideration. He's been in counseling his whole life. See, I could tell y'all.
So where did he go to therapy at?
He ain't been to therapy in a little while.
You said he's gone to therapy.
He has been, I'd say, probably like 4 years ago.
So he's been in counseling for 4 years, but he's been in the whole life.
Maybe off and on. I probably had some online counseling services or online counselors talk to him. But
Where did he go to school?
he was homeschooled. Thank you.
There we go.
He could be the perfect angel. You know what I mean? But let me say no, or you got suspended, so we can't do this. It ain't no punishing him.
He got suspended, so where's he going to school?
He was going to Horseman. He's been homeschooled for the last 2 years.
Who's homeschooling him?
I was. Yep.
Why do you have to think about that?
My lip hurt. I'm just like, You know, I've been up for 3 days. As I'm telling you, I still haven't took a nap, been to sleep. So I'm doing my best.
And you've been up for 3 days because he's been walking into walls and falling down.
Not 3 days straight.
You homeschool him.
Yes,
What grade is he in?
5th grade.
Okay. And what's the stuff he's learning about right now?
Well, he was learning, but he refused to learn. Every book that I bought him, he pissed on it, he shit on it, he destroyed it.
Okay, so you're not homeschooling him.
I had legal documents stating that he was certified to be homeschooled.
Okay.
But like I said, he destroyed all his equipment.
When was the last time he had schooling?
A true education, I could say probably like 2 years ago.
I want to talk about today. You said you haven't been to sleep, is that right?
I still haven't, no ma'am.
Okay. So what happened when he woke up this morning then?
He never went to sleep.
Okay, so then what happened What's been going on since 6 a.m. this morning?
So, 6 a.m. this morning, I look at the camera, I see him plunging on his chair. I get up around, say about 8 o'clock, go get him his breakfast and stuff like that. So I go up there, and he laying on his tarp, and he got it in his butt. I'm like, what the hell do you think you're doing? I say, pull it out right now. He wants to get the wrestling, and you know what I mean? I grab it out. Blood squirt. Yup. And it started dripping. So, put him in the shower. I put him in the bathtub, and I tried to clean it up and look at it to see if it was, worth me taking him to the ER right away. But to the eye, I'm not a doctor. It didn't look that bad. So I'm just thinking.
What did you see?
Just like his butt hole with a little blood. Because, I checked it out afterwards. I'm like, whoa, let me see. And she didn't dig. And it was just looked a little swollen.
Okay.
So
you didn't see any injuries or anything?
Nothing too heavy. I'm just sitting there like, I'm going to check on his body again, a couple hours, give it some time to cool off and check on it. So when I'm sitting on the couch and he like, Dad, help. I go up there to help him out, and he got some stuff coming out of his mouth. You know what I mean? On my head, I'm thinking of shit all automatically. I gave him some water so he can throw it up, if he had anything bad in him. I don't know if he swallowed his fork or what he did. So I'm like,
Swallowed his fork?
Yeah, that he was outrageous.
Okay.
Or what he would have done, I don't know.
We're back to where he's calling for help, and he's used his bed to push himself up.
Yep.
Okay. And what happens next?
So I ran up there and grabbed him, and then I rinsed him off.
Did he walk down the steps? Did you carry
Kind
him?
of, sorta. Tell me
how you guys came down the steps.
I'm holding him like this.
Is he in front of you, behind you, or next to you?
He in front and on the side, like a little bit, because the stairs is narrow.
Okay. He's walking?
Slightly. Not much.
So are you
I'm basically doing all the work.
Are you dragging his feet along, or you got him up off the steps? What do you?
Yeah, I drag him a little bit, just to, to hurry up, because I'm trying to assess the situation. So,
Is he still talking?
No, not much. So but he's still moving. His eyes is looking at me. He's doing his normal thing.
His eyes are looking at you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's his normal thing?
Just the freak out that I was telling you about. The freak show.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But this only happens when he's out out of options.
Did he have his clothes?
Trouble.
Did he have clothes on?
Did he have clothes on at the time?
Yeah. What was he wearing?
No, he didn't have no clothes on. And the reason I didn't give him no clothes is because if I give him clothes, he's gonna spoil them right away.
So you're carrying him down the stairs.
Yeah.
And then what happens?
Okay, so I was gonna call 911. I started to call him. I said, let me check him out, make sure he not faking me.
After he's down the stairs, what happens?
Put him in the shower.
Okay.
Not the shower, but I lay him in the bathtub. Like I said, he's still doing this. I'm mainly trying to get the throw up off of him again.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's smelling awful. So I'm trying to get it off of him, and I realized that something ain't look right. So I called 911, and I took him out the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I did everything they did said to try to save my child.
Who else was home today when this was all going on?
Nobody that I was aware of.
When Dakota's up there, do you ever lock the door? Where is Dakota's room?
Well, look, it used to be in the back area, the biggest part.
Okay.
So we jumped off board. So we jumped out the window.
So you're talking about upstairs in the attic?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so where's his room at now?
It was still in the attic, but just the smaller portion.
So where is his bed at then, upstairs?
His bed?
Mm-hmm.
Every morning I put it in that back area, so he won't shit on it, piss on it. Maybe he'll have something clean to lay down in.
Okay, so do you lock that area once you put his bed back there?
Yes.
What clothes did you put on him?
Gray. Some tan pants, and a black white t-shirt.
Okay. And where are the rest of his clothes?
He shit and pissed them off.
So when you went upstairs to get him, he was naked.
Yeah.
So he just sits upstairs naked all day?
Sometimes, yeah.
Why is that?
Because he pissed and shit on himself.
The injuries that he has, they just appeared, or?
No, he had them over time. I mean, but what was I supposed to do?
Take him to the doctor?
But look, here, I always assess them.
So your story, I just want to go back to this too. You said this morning, first thing this morning, I think you said around 6 a.m. on a camera, you noticed he was plunging himself, I think was your word?
Yeah.
So he is,
But I wasn't quite sure because the light was off.
there was like a yellow stool thing. Is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
He
so,
must have snapped it off because last time I checked, it was still connected inside of the thing.
I'm sorry, what?
It was still connected inside of the stool.
What do you mean?
The wooden piece,
The wooden piece was,
still connected.
who said anything about the wooden piece not being connected?
Who said anything about it not being connected?
You said that he must have snapped it off.
Yeah, he did. Had to. 'Cause
When?
I noticed that this morning.
And that's what he was plunging?
Mm-hmm.
Can you describe what you mean by plunging to me?
All right, so look. He had, a chair like this.
Right.
You take the back off.
Mhm.
That's going to sit flat on the ground.
Okay.
And I seen him going like this. You hear me? I wasn't telling it. I wasn't able
So
to
he's
tell.
putting the chair leg in his
Yeah,
butt.
yeah.
That's what you're saying he's doing.
Yep, but here's the thing. I wasn't able to tell if that's what he was doing or if he was just taking another shit. Because every night he'll get up, he'll do stuff like this. And just, slam it and scream, ah! You know what I mean? Now I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I gotta work. He only do it on the days that I gotta work the most.
Where do you work?
If ever I did work.
So you talk about these outbursts that he has all the time. 24/7 it sounds like, right? Keeping you up at night, he's being defiant, he's having these outbursts or this acting out. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you have any of that on video that you could show us what you mean by that?
Oh no. Because it would be so embarrassing.
Okay. Earlier you said that you've been telling people about these outbursts. You've been telling all these people about his crazy behavior and all this stuff he's doing. Who have you been telling?
Well, CPS, only the 30, 40 times they came to my house, but they never found me to be an unfit parent or, you know what I mean? Or,
Who else have you been telling?
And the police, the last time I called the police.
So those are the only people that you're telling that is so outlandish and crazy?
Yup. I had a couple friends that I tell, like, you know what I mean? But other than that, I mean, because I even asked a friend, like, what would make a child?
So you did talk to a friend about this?
Yeah.
Who's that? What friend did you talk to?
My friend John.
John what?
I don't know his last name. I just know he used to live in Dayton probably about 3 months ago.
So he's a personal friend that you can confide your business about what your kid's doing, but you don't know his last name?
Nah, you know how it be. We just hang out often.
What's his phone number?
I don't know it.
How do you get in touch with him?
I don't talk to him no more. We ain't friends.
3 months ago, how did you get in touch with him?
3 months ago, I would just go to the area he hang out in.
All right. And his name's just John.
Yeah.
What's John look like?
Light skin, long braids.
What's his street name?
Skinny. Black.
That's a street name or that's a description of him?
That's the name. Skinny Black.
Skinny Black. All right. Where's he hang out at?
I don't know where he hang out currently. But
Where was he hanging out 3 months ago?
I used to just see him at the bus stop by Salem, and we'd kick it. Drink.
Which bus stop on Salem?
Close to Walgreens. And we just drink beers and stuff.
So, I'm trying to understand these marks all over him.
Like I said, every day.
He can't do that on his back.
Every day. Oh, he slams back. He runs, he jumps, and wherever land, he lands.
Why?
I don't know why. I never understood it. It's all in that.
Well, I think we've talked to the other people here.
Okay.
And your story is not consistent with his injuries as theirs, okay? I will tell you that.
I don't know what to say.
Well,
Yeah.
it's your chance. Like, I understand if you were frustrated with him at different points because you hadn't slept, or because he would do things that bothered you or disgusted you.
Oh.
Here's your chance to say it. But
Only-
to blame him on him like he's doing it when we know that's
the
not
only
the case.
thing. The only thing I probably did. Is spank his bottom, or hold him down to keep him from eating his shit. Everything else, I don't know nothing about.
Or put hot sauce on his butt so it'll burn.
That I did.
Yeah,
Yes, I
I
did.
know you did.
Yep.
And why did you do that?
To try to get him to quit crapping on himself. Yep, my daddy did me like that when I was little. When I used to suck my thumb, he put some hot sauce on, and I ain't put it in my mouth no more.
So you think putting hot sauce on his butt would make him not poop?
Maybe it'd burn, because here's the thing, he would try to sit in it for so long to where it built up and just destroyed his skin. Like I said, maybe I could have put a couple of injuries on him, trying to keep him from eating his feces at the time, but telling me they said that I beat him to death.
Yeah.
Is that what they saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's very inaccurate.
When you spank him, what do you spank him with?
My hand.
Your hand? You don't use anything else?
Mm-hmm.
Just your hand?
Yep. And that's rarely that, because he was thinking so damn bad that if I touch him, then I'm gonna smell for days.
Well, I mean, obviously he drove you crazy.
I want to say that.
Well, I mean,
I
he
was on the
irritated
verge.
you. He
I mean-
made you angry. You sit here and talk about how he stunk.
Yeah, I ain't
And-
slept in days. But I wouldn't say that. Yeah, at times he did drive me crazy. At times I did not know what I would do, but I will always try to stay level-headed and just see through another day.
But I'm sure there's times that you didn't. And we know you didn't. I mean, in all honesty, we have witnesses, obviously, that were there when you were doing this stuff to him. Yeah, all these marks that are not self-created.
Yeah, half of them are not. Some of them, like I said, I spank them at times.
What'd you spank him with?
A spatula.
A spatula?
Yep. It was flat. Yep.
What is this here?
That's a rash. That's from his nastiness. Just a rash. Laying in his piss every day, ate his back up.
No, that's not.
That, I don't know what that is. I thought it was a rash. I've been seeing it for weeks. I actually thought it was a rash. I'm
Maybe if you
serious.
took him to the doctor, you would know.
What could I have done to cause that? What causes
Drag
that?
him
Dragged him where?
Down the steps. up
No,
the steps.
ma'am.
on
No,
the
ma'am.
carpet.
No, ma'am. We don't have any carpet.
You didn't see the tear in his butt today, in his anal area?
The tear?
Yeah.
Mhm, the
Big
tear.
tear.
I seen
in
it
the
swollen, but I
It's
didn't.
plain as day a cut. Yep, a tear actually.
It's possible.
Did you have to hold him down in the bathtub? Was he fighting you to get out of the bathtub?
Mm-mm.
How come I asked you like 2 or 3 times what you spanked him with and you told me your hand and then...
Yeah, usually it would be my hand, but I have used a spatula. I want to be honest as possible.
So all these marks are probably spatula marks? Is that what you're telling me? I mean, that's
Yes.
consistent.
Yes.
Yeah,
It is.
okay.
Is that what killed him?
I would say the spatula marks did not. But possibly throwing him around or stepping on him or putting your knee on his chest or
And
something
it
along
was
those
only,
lines.
yeah, I did this morning, but it was only to keep him from hurting himself. Like, he didn't want to come off the thing that was in his butt. Like, he wanted to fight for it. I'm like, I ripped it out, and he was still, you know what I mean, aggressive. I'm like, you need to lay down, settle down. He didn't want to lay down. I just tried to get him to calm down for a second.
So what did you do to make him calm down?
I just laid him down flat and just, you know, put my knee on his back. I didn't put a lot of pressure on it. I just held it to where he could, you know what I
You
mean?
make him put his hands behind his back?
Yeah, because just anything to get him to stop.
So he's naked, you pulled this thing out of his butt, which probably hurt. I mean, I'm guessing it hurt him.
It must have. I didn't know at the time. I mean, at all. I don't do the butt thing. I don't know nothing about it. what hurt was my pride and my feelings. And the fact that he's up there doing that. He know how embarrassing that is. I'm like, what are you doing? Give me that. And that's when it squirted out, miss. And that's when I addressed it right away.
So I'm sure you were embarrassed and pissed.
Nah. Nobody was up.
So you pulled out of his butt and he's still fighting you a little bit. You roll him over and you put your knee on his back, have him put his hands behind his back.
Yup, and I probably spanked him with a spatula a couple times, yes ma'am.
This morning too?
Yes ma'am. Yup, right when he put up the fight for the stick then in his ass, I did. Yeah, after I checked on his wound though, because it was my way of telling him like, don't do that again. Do not.
So you put him in the bathtub, you check his butt, right? Okay, and then you get him out and you whoop him?
Yeah, yes ma'am.
Spatula.
Yep, because I didn't want to whoop him right away, not knowing what was going on with his butthole. Like, you know, it really shocked me today. I'm still shocked. This is going to be the rest. I'm going to be in prison for the rest of my life because of this right here, because of my child.
Why are you going to be in prison?
I mean, I'm the man. I'm the only parent. I'm responsible. You know what I mean? And it's just bad. Like I said, I probably did give him too much water, but I never had intentions on making it cause that. I mean, I was getting fed up as a parent, yeah, but I was not trying to kill my child or hurt my child, molest my child, do anything wrong to my child.
Why did you hide the stool leg?
No, I just took it away from him. I didn't really hide it.
Where'd you put it?
I remember putting it, I don't know where I put it at. To be honest, I probably stuck it behind the dresser, just out of sight real quick.
Behind the dresser?
Yeah, somewhere out of sight.
Out of sight of who?
Me and him.
Why out of your sight?
Because it reminded me of where I pulled it out from. That's pretty gross. I didn't want to smell it. I didn't want the baby to get a hold of it. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, it was definitely out of his sight because he was locked upstairs and not allowed to come out. So that wasn't an issue.
It never that he was not allowed to come out. He just didn't want to come out respectful. You can't come out and shit on yourself right beside somebody, and not that you don't want. I mean that you can't.
So he wasn't allowed because he pooped his pants.
Nah, it ain't that he wasn't allowed. Sometimes we put a diaper on him and we kicked it. You know what I mean? He actually had diapers, and adult diapers and all that. I mean, I'm just trying to teach him a lesson, but not in the physical aspect.
You taught him a lesson.
It took his life. And I am very sorry to know that water did that, and then my attitude, the way I've been spanking him. I ain't gonna lie, I did get out of control at times, but not that often. And I thought he would snap back from it. You know what I mean? From his ass whooping. But
I'd say it's probably the ass whooping, but
you think so?
yeah.
It killed him?
A mixture of a lot of things that were going on.
I had a question though. If I don't know, man. I'm afraid for my life. Yeah. I'm hurt that my child is gone.
You're afraid for your life?
Yes, I am.
Your child's dead and you're afraid for your life.
I'll be spending the rest of my life in prison. I'm 30 years old. What I'm gonna do for the rest of my life, all because I tried to raise my child the right way and he became defiant and we ran into a situation. I'm just begging y'all, please take into consideration. I did not get my child out of the foster care. I fought 4 years for him. Just to turn around and do him like this, you hear me? Getting life in prison, you know?
We'll see how it goes, man.
Strong possibility.
It's a possibility.
Please, y'all, please don't do it to me.
Just hang on real quick, okay?
I'm only 30, please.
All right, man. Go and stand up. Put your hands behind your back. We're going to take you to the valley, put your church out. All right?
Can you tell me what I'm being charged with?
Right now, murder and child endangering.
Murder?
Yes.
What does murder mean? Like
Murder means you killed your child.
I
So murder
planned
is.
it.
What's that?
That means I planned it or something?
No, I didn't say you planned it. What I'm saying is that you murdered your son.
McLean was transported to Montgomery County Jail, where he was formally booked on charges of murder and child endangerment. As for Amanda and Jennifer, they walked out of the interview room without cuffs, without charges, at least for now. In the meantime, detectives turned their attention to those who knew Takoda: teachers, family, neighbors, anyone familiar with the twisted dynamic inside that home. They started piecing together a fuller picture of the life he was living behind closed doors.
Hello?
Hi, is this Miss Martin?
Yes, it is.
Hi, this is Detective Melissa Sloss with the Dayton Police Department. How are you?
Yes. Fine, thank you.
Hi, ma'am. Yeah, my understanding was that you were a nurse at Horace Mann.
Yes.
Back when Takoda Collins went there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I was.
So I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. I have contacted any teachers that, I was aware had any contact with him. I just kind of want to see what you remember about Takoda.
Yeah. Well, I think I probably did a CSB referral, but I don't know for sure. I'd have to look at notes. But I don't know what kind of access you have, with Dayton Public. But anytime we write out a referral, we send a copy down to Health Services. So anything I wrote would be in Health Services. And also, anytime I saw him in the clinic, of course, I documented it. And you can run a specific child's name and run all his clinic visits for any length of time. So, to be specific, I'd really have to, look at those. But I do remember one time I saw him in the clinic. I don't know if he fell on the playground. I don't know why he was in the clinic. But it wasn't anything major because I don't call the parents for every little scrape from recess or whatever. And the next day, I got a call from his father, and he was just irate, that I hadn't contacted him. So I told him, because I would see, sometimes 40, 50 kids a day, that unless it was something serious, I didn't contact the parents, but if they request that, I would contact them. And he said, I don't want him to come in the clinic, he doesn't need to be seen by a nurse, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, if he gets injured or he's not feeling well, that's what we do. And so he said, well, call me first. And so I said, well, I'll talk to my supervisor. I mean, I don't have a problem with calling you. I don't know if I need to call you first, but, I will certainly call you every time I see him. So then I talked to my supervisor, and she said, well, if that's what he wants, that's okay, go ahead. Well, then I saw Takoda another time, and he said, you're not going to call my dad, are you? Because I just remember he was just so upset, And I said, well, I need to call your dad to just let him know that you fell recess. I don't remember the specifics. I just remember he was really upset about me calling his dad. But what I do remember is that he was very thin, and I know the people at breakfast would give him extra food and stuff like that, because he was always hungry. And that oftentimes we would wash his clothes because he had a strong smell of urine all the time. And so he would stay in the clinic, and I had extra clothes he would wear while I washed his clothes and put it back on, and I know Dad didn't like that. He didn't like that we were washing his clothes, but, I felt bad for the poor kid. And then he would go in the bathroom and try and clean up with wipes, to just clean himself a little bit. And I don't know if he was urinating on himself or just his clothes weren't getting washed, or if they had a pet that was, sometimes we had kids who'd say, well, a cat peed on my clothes. They wouldn't get washed. Have you talked to the supervisor of health services, Don Abbott?
No, I have not.
Okay, because she could access that probably, but I don't know if they'd have to get permission from the attorney. And I don't know how that legal end works.
Gotcha.
But she wasn't supervisor at the time. Jenny Noe was, and I know I talked to Jenny because she remembers talking to the father too, because he was just so abrasive. He didn't ask it as like he was concerned, because right away I thought, well, now this is really strange. I got a really weird vibe from the way he asked. Well, he didn't. And I think he may have even called the principal and complained to the principal about me. And then one of the pairs that I was talking to reminded me that his father had pulled a gun on one of the bus drivers. And I don't know if that's documented anywhere.
Yeah, I don't think it was reported to us.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was maybe reported internally.
Right.
but
Yeah.
I don't show anything
you know,
like was reported.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't, I didn't hear it specifically. I remember at the time people were talking about it, so I don't know if it happened at the bus stop. I mean, I'm sure it would have had to happen at the bus stop, and I don't know who his bus driver was or anything, but yeah, now you think that's something that would be reported to the police.
Good morning, Horace Man. This is Miss Moss.
Good morning. This is Detective Melissa Sloss. How are you this morning?
I am doing well. How about you?
Pretty good. It's Friday.
Yes, ma'am.
Obviously, I'm calling to talk to you about Takoda Collins.
And I just want to verify before I speak with you, because I know the name was sent as Karen Moss, and I'm like, the only Moss here is me, and there's no Karen. So I just wanted to verify to make sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. I probably wrote your name down wrong. What is your first name?
My first name is Sherry, Sheri.
Okay. I'm sorry, Miss Moss. And you're the principal, correct?
I am.
Okay. Yeah. Then you're who I want to talk to. So I just got a name mixed up on the email I sent.
Okay.
I just want to touch base with anybody who had any dealings with Takoda Collins and his father, Mr. McLean, and just kind of, to get information. Did you have dealings with Mr. McLean or Takoda at all?
Takoda was a student here under me for second and third grade years, so I came to Horace Mann the 17-18 school year, and so from 17, 18, 18, 19, I should say second grade, third grade, I was here with Takoda.
Did you have any, what can you tell me about Takoda?
Pretty much Takoda was I would say a well-rounded student here at school, friendly, helpful. He wanted to just kind of please people, so anything that he can do to help out, he would volunteer, especially most of the interaction I had with him, hallway area, cafeteria during lunch duty, when I would go into the classroom doing walkthroughs and just kind of bring it to my attention some things that he had done in regards to if he did well on a class assignment or just kind of sharing out and just wanted to have conversations. So, but when he was here at school, it was pleasant.
Were you aware of any, I don't know if they come through you or whatever, the reports that teachers kind of made to CSB?
Yes, I was. There were several concerns that were brought to my attention. Of course, as mandated reporters, teachers knew to contact Children's Services. There was a couple of situations that I had, as far as with a bus driver coming in and sharing something with me as far as him coming to the bus with a diaper. I informed the bus driver to call Children's Services, and I did as well in turn.
Were you aware of any behavior concerns that Takoda had as far as being violent or acting out, any of those kind of things?
Just your basic conflict among students. So, as far as an example would be, he stepped in front of me in line, or he wouldn't allow me to on a swing on a playground, just those type of things.
Right.
I know that there was a situation when Takoda seemed to be a little aggressive, but when I say that, it's just kind of on the normal type things with students, and that was just a matter of maybe a student saying something inappropriate, then he said something back, then wanting to be aggressive towards another student. But that was because of just the conflict on both ends, not just him wanting to lash out in particular.
Was there anything, did you have any interaction with his father?
Yes, I did. There were a couple of phone calls. Dad called irate because he did not want his son to go to the clinic for any reason. Takoda had an accident on himself, needed to get changed. Dad was aware of that and was upset. I don't want my son going to the clinic. I'm tired of you all questioning my son. That was over the phone. And then I know when he came in, I saw Dad face to face, and that was right before he was withdrawn from school, before Takoda was withdrawn from school, and Dad said he was pulling him out because he was upset with us in regards to calling children's services and questioning his son, and he didn't want him here anymore.
Okay. When you said he had an accident on himself, did he have he had
wet
an
his
accident?
pants.
He wet his pants at school?
Wet his pants. And then I know that it was noted as far as with body odor, because he would come to school and clothes filthy and just reeking beyond just your normal boy being musty type thing. And so with making sure, and we keep extra clothes here for students, extra underwear, things like that, for students to change if need be. But they will have to come down to the office to change clothes. So, yes. Okay. And then one of the other things that I can say is that as far as with extra food, during breakfast or lunch, Takoda would, have extra food because he was hungry. So if any student that appears to be hungry or just didn't get enough, we make provisions for them to receive extra food to eat. We have a share cart, and then also I or one of the other staff members would just kind of make sure that kids have extra food if need be. And then on Fridays we have a backpack program. I know one time in particular, Takoda took food home. Dad was upset about that and was like, my son will not bring food home from school.
Oh, and but after he had brought food home, Dad called and complained?
Yes. Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Did it ever come to your attention any kind of self-harm that he was doing or anything like that?
No, not at all.
Hi, this is Joni Watson. I'm returning your call or calling you.
Hello.
I got a message to call.
Yeah, I was going to try and call you back. I didn't have your direct number, though. They all showed the same number.
I thought about that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
No problem. I'm just contacting anybody who had done kind of CSB referrals or had any possible dealings with Takoda Collins.
I had him every year. I had him and his older brother every year because I'm the art teacher, so as an art teacher, I see all the kids every year.
What can you tell me about Takoda?
Takoda was at the heart a really, really sweet little boy. He, he had a few little issues of acting out and stuff. I think now we know why. He was starved for any attention, whether good or bad attention. He frequently smelled. And, looking back now we know why. Any time, I think, they all run together because it's been so many years, but I can't remember if it was Takoda or his older brother Khalil. It might have been Khalil. I took him out in the hall because he had scratches all around his eye, and I said, "What happened to your eye?" And he said, "Takoda scratched me with a stick," which could be very believable. Looking back now, I'm sure it isn't. And the next day I got a call from his dad saying, "Don't you dare talk to my kids again. Don't you dare question my kids again," in a very threatening manner. The dad was, he would call and scream and yell at us, kind of unhinged. Takoda, at lunchtime and at breakfast always ate a lot. So, in retrospect now, you're never sure whether they ate a lot because they were hungry because they weren't being fed at home or whether they were going through a growing spurt. Because we do have some kids that are very well taken care of, but that eat a lot. Looking back now, I think it's probably because, he wasn't being fed well at home. He was really, really thin, and so was his older brother.
Did Takoda ever tell you anything? Or?
No, never. I don't know that he told anybody anything.
Right.
And if you threatened, like if he was acting up in my room and I'd say, "Takoda, I'm going to call your dad," he would just pure fright. please don't call my dad Mrs. Watson. I'll stop. And he would.
Yeah, this is Mac Rams. I left a message on my machine or my voicemail.
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good. How's it going?
Good. Hey, I actually was calling in regards to McLean. I probably butchered his name, but Al McLean.
Yes, ma'am.
My understanding is that you knew him a little bit, or you worked with him.
I worked with him. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what can you tell me about him?
As far as what his work ethic?
Well, maybe work ethic, but also, do you know anything? Did you ever hear him talk about his children, or?
Oh, definitely. He talked about. As a matter of fact, he had asked me for I'd say a period of a couple of weeks, asked me how I disciplined my children and how he would give me a scenario and how I would deal with that scenario. And I would tell him flat out, so I knew he was having issues with his one child. He didn't go into too much detail other than the fact that he would give me a scenario. One of them, in fact, was his kid was putting holes in the walls at his house and was out of control. And I told him, that if it was that bad, that he probably should contact the police, because he told me no matter what he did, this kid was out of control. And I told him that, you should probably contact the police if it's that bad. And then he would ask me how I disciplined my children. And I would ask him in what way. And he would say, let's say, he would give me a scenario, and I'd tell him how I would discipline my kids. He kind of kept to himself. He would come out to like breaks, and that's when he would talk to me, was like at lunchtime or at break when we would all be out smoking. He would kind of hang out by us, and then if nobody was around, that's when he'd ask me how I would discipline my kids. But other than that, he was kind of kept to himself. I wouldn't say a recluse, because he did come out to break with us, but he wouldn't talk much.
Did he ever mention how he disciplined his kids?
No, not at all.
How long ago was that?
I would say because he only worked last spring. He worked here, I think, until about May, and then he got hired on a little bit before I did, and then he more or less walked out here. He wasn't doing well in his job. His work ethic was terrible, and he had a job that was shipping out one day, and it was wrong, and he pretty much just grabbed his tools and left. He was very unhygienic, to the point where the team lead out here would get into him with it about his hygiene and how he smelled. We'd actually turned the ceiling fans on because he smelled so bad.
Really? What did he smell like?
EO.
Oh, really? Okay. Not urine or anything.
He had dreads. I don't know if he still does or not, but he had dreads, and his dreads smelled terrible.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to work with him.
Right.
Because he smelled bad, and, his work ethic was absolutely terrible.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, is this Dawn?
Yep.
This is Detective Melissa Sloss with the Dayton Police Department.
Okay.
And I wanted to talk to you. Obviously, I'm the investigator on this case with Takoda Collins. Did you have interaction with Takoda?
Maybe once a year. They came up for Christmas, usually.
Did Amanda ever voice concerns to you about Takoda?
She said a few things, like she tried to get help for him, and everybody turned her down. They said he was too young.
Did she tell you who she tried to get help from?
No.
Okay.
Well, one was the hospital, the time that he jumped out the window.
Okay. Did she mention to you what was going on with him, that they needed help for?
Oh, there was incidences where she would find him. She mentioned one time she found him dancing on the table with his older brother, and he was naked, and he had his own finger up his butt. There was another time she told me that she caught him trying to stick a dog toy up his butt. She caught him like banging his head on the wall for no reason. And she just told me stuff like that.
Well, let me ask you, Dawn, when did she tell you this? Did she tell you this after Al was already locked up, or did she tell you this in the past?
No, that was way before that.
As far as Al goes, I'm trying to figure out a little bit about him.
I really don't know much about him. When they come up, it's only for a couple days. I mean, I really don't talk to him. I spend time with my girls when they come up,
Gotcha.
And sometimes he didn't even come up. He stayed home, so. I mean, what I think both my girls were threatened in some way from him. I don't know. I just have that feeling. And they're both afraid to say anything because they don't, because Amanda is so in love with this guy. It's not funny. I've been trying to tell her he's not getting out. He's in there for good. I said, move on with your life. If you have anything on him, tell them.
Well, if you have any questions or if you have any information you think I need to know, this is my direct line, and I am the detective on this case.
So, I mean, is it looking not good for my girls or what? I'm just scared for my girls.
I get that. It's not looking good because it went on for a long time, and they had knowledge of it.
While McLean sat behind bars, the connection between him and Amanda didn't break. It intensified. They stayed in close contact, frequently calling one another, careful with their words, or at least they thought they were. They tried speaking in code when it came to Jennifer, strategizing on how to handle her, now that she was cooperating with law enforcement. But the walls have ears, and what they didn't realize was that every word, every veiled threat and whispered plan was being recorded, and eventually, it would all come back to bite them. Hard.
So Jenny says she's trying to take me down, huh?
She knows you're a good dad, but the next day is crazy talk. So
well,
but I'm trying to get my house together for Desire.
And you even if worse come to worse, even let them know they can speak to your mom about her mental status. Like I said, I don't know what's going to become of this. You already know I didn't. Only time I ever did anything to him was try to get him to control himself. That's the story. Stick to it. That's it. You hear me?
I know that.
Just you make sure you inform somebody of that girl mental condition.
I told them that she's got bipolar and ADHD. When they put her on the stand Monday, she's not going to be able to handle it.
Right.
She's too crazy.
Right. I'm already hit. But you just make sure you let them know the only time I tried to, you know what I mean, restrain him or control him was in that manner, and that's it. You hear me? That is the truth, you know what I mean? But they're going to try to ask Jenny, like, did you threaten her or try to make her? She crazy as fuck.
We already know.
I do get out. Jenny ass is going.
Oh, I know. She's going back home.
Once this shit is cleared, she's going. She got to go.
I was going to keep her there for Christmas, but now this stuff happened.
I mean, unless you change your mind. Unless
you can watch Joe during the day and I can.
Right.
I can
but
watch
I'm saying,
during the day.
unless she get her attitude together all the way.
Yeah.
And that's why I say you need to be a parent. That's your child.
I know. Because if this don't go away, dogs got to go.
Yeah, you know that.
I can't take care of them dogs.
Right. Yeah. Yep, the dogs got to go. You're right. If the dogs don't act right, the dogs got to go. So you try to get them dogs to do the right thing and settle down. And
yeah, because they took my beepers.
Right.
This barks.
Ain't no stopping them.
I got one, but you know how hard it is to switch out one?
Right.
I gave him a whole fucking turkey.
Right.
Been quiet for a little while.
Right.
I bought him some dog food.
But yep, that dog don't shut up. Got to go. Yeah, for sure. So try to tame it the best you can. The beepers is going, I know. But whoa.
Do what I can do.
You know it.
I can only tell the dog to
That's it. And roll over. The motherfucker don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You know?
I've been every day been telling that dog to stop barking.
Right. It won't stop.
Just bark over me.
Oh yeah. Yup. Yeah, we be getting a new barking collar. I know it. And remember, Talk to the dog. Let that dog know it's very important. You hear me?
No.
That he stay quiet because they're gonna get our dogs taken away. You know what I mean?
Days later, detectives picked up the phone and called Amanda. They asked her and Jennifer to come back in for what they said was just a few more questions. But this time, they were ready to dig deeper. When Jennifer sat down across from investigators, something was off. Her tone had changed. The hesitation, the sudden shift in narrative. It was clear Amanda had gotten to her. Jennifer tried to twist the story, paint Takoda as the problem, and downplay the violence Al had inflicted. She deflected, minimized, lied. But the truth doesn't bend forever. Detectives pushed back. Hard, and under pressure, her story started to crumble. The lies unraveled.
Is there anything else you think we should know? Did anything else come up?
Not really. Just, I know Takoda pretty much did this, he didn't do it mainly to himself, but he always, because Al doesn't abuse him, he just disciplined him. He just, used a spatula to spank his hands and his butt. But when I told you that he stomped on him that day, I didn't.
Okay, let me stop you real quick. I know that Amanda's manipulating you.
No, she is not. No,
yes,
she is not. No, she's not. I'm telling you what is going on. Why would Amanda tell me things to say?
Because your story has consistently changed every time.
Yeah, it could, but I could remember some stuff too.
Jennifer, you're about to get caught in a trick bag. You have the jail calls. We had the conversations between Al and Amanda where they're telling you that you're a dog and that you need to get that dog to shut the fuck up.
Yes,
if that dog talks, that dog's going to get fucking pounded. All right? We have the jail calls. So all you're doing right now is you're lying for two individuals that physically abused a child for years. That's what's happening.
And I think she probably still mentally abuses you, and I'm not okay with it.
After multiple rounds of interviews, each one revealing more cracks, more contradictions, it was finally time. The decision was made. Amanda Hinza and Jennifer Ebert were going to be arrested. Detectives headed to 1934 Kensington Drive. It was quiet when they pulled up, but not for long. Amanda and Jennifer were taken into custody without incident. No last-minute pleas, no denials that held any weight. On December 20th, 2019, both women were arrested for felony child endangerment and transported to the Montgomery County Jail. Their lies had bought them time, but not freedom. That was over. September 29th, 2021. Nearly 2 years after Takoda Collins lost his life, the three scumbags responsible were sentenced.
This is the most horrific case of abuse and torture that this court has ever seen.
Also today, justice served for a murdered 10-year-old boy this morning. The father of 10-year-old Takoda Collins was sentenced to 51 years to life today in Montgomery County Court. Al McLean tortured and murdered Collins in 2019. 2 News reporter Madeline Ashley is live downtown with sentencing details and county prosecutor plans to make corrections in our child care systems. Madeline.
John, I'm standing outside the Montgomery County Courthouse where earlier today County Prosecutor Matt Heck said there were many times that child service workers could have stepped in and potentially saved Collins' life, and now Heck and his team are working to right those wrongs. Fixing a system that failed one of its own.
You were very good at manipulating children's services and what you told them. Even with plenty of blame to go around, it is you alone who abused, tortured, and killed your son.
Along with McLean's sentencing, live-in fiancée Amanda Hines sentenced to a minimum 22 years, and her sister Jennifer Ebert a minimum of 8 years. McLean's sentencing included rape by force, 1 count of murder by felonious assault, kidnapping, and 3 counts of child endangerment.
But we had one goal, and I had one goal, and that is never, ever let what happened to Takoda Collins happen to any other child in our community.
Following the sentencing, Montgomery County Prosecutor Matt Heck and his team vowing to strengthen the system and do right by our county's most vulnerable children.
My office and I have had meetings with everyone from teachers to caseworkers, law enforcement to caregivers in an effort to overhaul how child abuse investigations are reported, how they're handled and investigated.
This year alone, the county's Child Protection Unit has seen an increase of more than 30% in children's service cases turned over to Heck's office.
While I'm certain it isn't a perfect system, It is a vast improvement over how it was done in the past.
Takoda Collins' December 2019 death caused by water submersion, blunt force trauma, and asphyxia. During McLean's sentencing, Judge Dennis Atkins addressing what McLean did to his son.
What you did was pure evil. You provided no mercy to your son and deserve no mercy from this court.
McLean will be eligible for parole once he hits his 51-year sentencing, and prosecutor Heck says that he encourages anybody who might be experiencing child abuse or know someone who is to reach out for help. If you hear something, say something. Live in Dayton, Madeline Ashley, 5 on 2.